This is a quick rundown of the players that I think would be a good fit for the Colts to help fill some of the holes that they have and help really just the team win. Chris Ballard has said that it was stupid of him to bring all the same guys back. We like our guys thing is hopefully done. And hopefully he signs some free agents. He's admitted that signing free agents was a mistake. And fingers crossed he holds up his word and, signs free agents. I'm going to just quickly go through some options for the Colts. Linebacker, EJ Speed is probably gone. Our linebacker depth isn't great, with Jalen Carlisle being off and injured. And somebody else whose name I can never remember, but he has really awesome hair, who's fine, but not really good enough for, multiple snaps. The first name that comes up is Zach Bond. I know. You think I'm crazy. I am crazy. We're all crazy. I was crazy once. But if the Colts can land him, I do think this makes the Colts not the best defensive team in the league, but really, really good. I mean, the Colts won't get him. Let's keep it a buck. But, if they can, that's great. The Colts have a ton of cap room, especially if they cut guys like Britton Smith, who, I hope we don't cut. Seems like a great dude, just having some personal issues, and we don't know if he'll, play again, if he'll retire, whatnot. And I think I did mention Raekwon Davis, but just a guy who hasn't played, and when he did was bad. So the Colts have like $40 million in cap room plus, whatever cuts they decide to make this offseason. And I think that could be enough to sign a Zach Bond type. I don't know free agency well enough to know if the Eagles have some sort of rights on him to, retain him. I don't know if I know bird rights isn't a thing in the NFL, but yeah, I don't know enough about the cap and NFL free agency to say for sure. But if the Colts can get him, that would be huge. They have enough money to pay him. And they have, the draft picks to fill in those other holes. But, assuming the Colts don't get him, which, let's be real, they won't. Another good option is Jalen Graham. Just a guy who hasn't really gotten a ton of playing time this year. Sorry, I'm tired. My stutter gets worse when I'm tired. But a guy who didn't get a ton of playing time in 2023 or this year, he spent some time on the Commanders practice squad, and then he went back to the 49ers on the active roster. In the minutes and snaps he's played, he's ranked really good in, all of PFF's metrics. Is he a bit of a swing? Yes. Is he unproven? Yes. But I think he's a good ad. Somebody who, can do a little bit in pass protection, can do a little bit in run stopping, and could fit in nicely next to Zaire. The next option that comes up is Dre Greenlaw. Now, Dre Greenlaw was, for a 2-year stretch, one of, if not the best linebackers in football. Then he tore his Achilles in the 2023-2024 Super Bowl when he ran on the field and just tore it. I still get so bummed out, seeing the video of the reaction to it. I don't know who it was, but just the player screaming, no, that just breaks my heart, man. So look, if he is 80% of his former self, 70% of his former self, I think he'd be a great pickup for the Colts. Is it a pipe dream? Yes. Is it a gamble? Yes. But if we can get him on a reasonable contract, because of his injury, and hopefully because, other teams don't want him. Hopefully teams want him. Obviously, I want the guy to get the most money possible, get your bread, help your family and whatnot. But if the Colts can get him, I think it's a really good option. I think if the Colts are able to sign him for short term, ideally cheap, but even if you sign him on a 1-2 year deal for a decent amount of money, fine. That gamble, the payoff, if it doesn't happen, you're only hamstrung for a year or two. If he's healthy, again, I think this makes this Colts team really good. If he's able to recover, I think this makes this Colts team really, really good. Let's see, the next prospect is Nephi Sewell. Sewell, special teams player, but gotten some time at will linebacker, according to SI's Colts page. I don't really know what Will linebacker is, but let's see. He's another guy who apparently hasn't played much for the Saints. An ascending player, 26, still pretty young. Somebody who can compete with Carlisle for that, secondary spot. Unproven. I don't know a lot about him, but he's an option, right? The last one is Jamian Sherwood? Hymian Sherwood? Jamian? I don't know. I'm illiterate and very white. But no, Jamian Sherwood, another name. The New York Jets, after the injury to C.J. Mosley, played him a lot this year. I'm looking at some of his stats now. 158 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and he posted really good grades. Maybe not really good, but some good grades across the board. 77 in run defense and 66 in coverage. Colts stunk in run defense, and the linebacker play specifically sucked in coverage. Let's look up what his missed tackle percentage is. Jamian Sherwood missed tackle percent. All my devices have been running really slow, and I'm worried that they're just fried with viruses. Okay, 10%. Really good. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I mean, let's see. What was EJ Speed's missed tackle percent? Yeah, EJ Speed ranked horribly this year. 56 in an overall grade, 49 in pass rush, 72 in run defense, 46 in coverage. How many? He had 26 missed tackles. He's in the 189th worst in that. I can't find his missed tackle percentage, but it won't be great. Him and Zaire at times struggled with tackles, and hopefully getting a linebacker can help fix that. Again, Jamian Sherwood is a guy I really like, and I think would be a good fit. Another position that the Colts do need is, as I pull up my list again, free safety. Nick Cross has really kind of come into his own, while Julian Blackmon has not really shown he can play free safety, or even if he can, stay healthy. I don't blame the guy for playing poorly this year. I mean, he was playing with a torn labrum all year, he could barely lift his arm, he said. So, I get it. But I don't think the Colts hold on to him unless they can get him for a very, very cheap contract. And I do think the Colts can upgrade that position. While Blackmon was good when healthy, he definitely struggled a lot when not healthy, and that was most of the time. So I do think the Colts upgrade over him. And the first name that comes up is Cameron Bynum. Now, obviously, he's probably most well known for his turnover celebrations. He's been pretty productive, though. Let's see, since 2023, Bynum has 233 tackles, 4 for loss, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumbles recovered, 5 interceptions, and 19 pass breakups. I mean, that's pretty dang good. He stayed relatively healthy. He started every game for the past 3 years. And, I mean, obviously, injuries are, just a mystery. You never know when they're going to happen. You hope they never do, but they will at some point. Every game you miss every game you play gets you just closer to an injury, right? But I think he'd be a really good ad for the Colts. Let's see, Cam Bynum PFF. Let's see his grades on Pro Football. Pass rush 50, fine. I don't really know what Lou Anarumo's scheme will be. I know he's known for being very versatile, but I don't know if he'll, blitz with safeties a lot. And even if he does, Nick Cross is actually a pretty good tackler and a pretty good blitzer in his, limited times blitzing this year. His run defense, 70. His coverage, 60. Not great, but let's see. What was Julian Blackmon's God, laptop work. I paid so much money for you. Let's see what Julian Blackman's grades were. Pass rush 70. Was he really 73 this year? Or is this for his career? 73? That's better than I thought. That's a lot better than I thought. Obviously, he had a lot of missed tackles this year with 15. But I mean, that's better than I thought. All right, I gotta stop with my bias. He probably will be gone. And even still, that's a 13-point difference. Yeah, obviously not great, but definitely, an option. No option's perfect, and who knows, with Lou Anarumo's talent, he could just make Bynum a really good safety, especially in coverage. Can you tell I don't know that much about football, and I just want to upload a YouTube video, and I'm also really tired and rambling? Oh, you can? Okay. Just want to make sure. Oh, shit. Javon Holland's coverage grade was 57. Not great there. But his run defense grade, 73. Pass rush, 62. Overall grade, 63, which is average. Obviously, PFF isn't perfect. I think they do go a little bit too hard on coverage grades, especially because that's such a tough stat to track, tough thing to measure. Like, let's look up, I don't know, who's the best safety in the league currently? Minka Fitzpatrick is the first name that comes up. Minka Fitzpatrick, PFF. All right, Minka Fitzpatrick's coverage grade was 67. Okay. Like, that's saying something. Like, I haven't seen a ton of Steelers football, but I know he's really good, especially in pass coverage. Let's just look up another guy. Derwin James. Sorry for the silence. Wow, he graded out incredibly well. 75. So, okay. All those guys are elite in coverage. I probably would put Derwin in the 80s, honestly. But yeah, I don't know if I take coverage grade too seriously, but that's definitely alarming to see that Julian Blackman's is so high while somebody like Javon Holland is so low. But no, I do think those would all be really good ads for the Colts. I do think they need to invest at the very least in depth at position if they do re-sign Julian Blackman. That position was so weak this year that Julian Blackman had to play through a torn labrum. Yeah, not great. Another free safety prospect is... Schnikes, no, that is not the page I want. Get me back to Sports Illustrated, I say. No. Tyrann Mathieu. Nateland. Tyrann Mathieu, good veteran, by all reports, good culture guy. Not the player he once was, but still dependable. And if they can get a valuable season out of him, a good season out of him, great. I don't really deem it necessary to look up his grade. Oh, we've done it for everyone else. So why not him? Tyrann Mathieu, PFF, penis fluffer. Fuck, I don't know. Sorry, my language. 60 overall, 51 pass rush, 65 run defense, 57 coverage. Maybe not. But no, I mean, for a team that's been critiqued for their culture, I do think it'd be a good ad. The next name that comes up is Trayvon Moehrig. I was gonna say I've never heard of him, but he plays for the Raiders. I mean, do you blame me? Oh, okay. 67, 70 pass rush, 87 run defense, which is interesting, and 54 coverage. Not great, but he's 25. Lou could put him in a better scheme that, can help with some of his flaws. Is that presumptuous on my part? Yes. Has everything I read shown that Lou is a great defensive coordinator? Yeah. Another name, Justin Simmons. If the Colts are able to afford him, do it. Absolutely do it. I think it would be great. He's 31, not the player he was, but I do think he'd be a great fit. That is all the names that come up. Okay, next position. So the Colts this year were probably better at quarterback than most would think, but they definitely still struggled. Their depth is not great. Juju Brents has not shown he can stay healthy. He just re-injured his groin the one game he played. Not re-injured, had an injury to his groin the one game he played. Has barely played any snaps. And I just think that's another position we need help in. Our pass defense was fine under these Gus Bradley scheme. I know stats say otherwise, but I mean, it was fine. It's a big part of it was just scheme, just checkdowns going for 80 yards, just that type of stuff. I'm of the opinion it was fine. Definitely could improve though. And there are some good names out there. Carlton Davis is the first name that comes up. Jalen Jones and Sam Womack are pretty good stories and were good productive players, but the Colts do need outside corner help specifically. Juju Brents is a guy who, was supposed to be the guy who was supposed to play outside corner, but can't stay healthy. Well, I know Davis hasn't stayed super healthy. He probably wouldn't be relied on a full-time player in this scenario if Juju Brents is healthy. This says he's won a Super Bowl, been in the playoffs for 5 straight seasons. I know he plays for the Lions. I don't know where he played before that, but great. He's regarded as a leader, according to this that I'm reading. Great. All things the Colts could use. Another name that comes up is Rasul Douglas. I do like Rasul, but he is 31. He is older. But by all reports, another good veteran, another good locker room guy, a guy who will, whip people into shape, a fiery personality from what I've heard, and somebody who the Colts could use. Still really good. Fingers crossed he stays healthy. At that age, that's probably my biggest concern. But yeah, I like both of those guys for the team. The next name that comes up on this list is Adoree Jackson, veteran corner. Could be fine, mixed with Moore, Brents, Jones, Womack. Yeah, not great, but an option. DJ Reed, undersized. This says he's 5'9", 188 pounds. The Colts typically do like to go a little bit bigger, hence the, Juju Brents, Jalen Jones, and all that. But he's proven he can be pretty reliable at corner. His overall PFF grade is above 70. And this says for the past consecutive seasons, he's allowed a catch percentage of just 58%. I don't really know if that's good or bad. I have to imagine that's good if they're including it, but yeah. Now, I do think the big target out here for the Colts should be Charvarius Ward. In fact, this website even has money in the middle of his name, which that would be an awesome middle name. Ward, I know he's 29. Great player, though. Elite cornerback. Somebody who can, switch around from outside, inside. Like, somebody who would be a great fit on any team. And somebody I do think the Colts should try really, really hard to go after. Obviously, for very sad reasons, I wish him all the best. But it seems like he might not, be long for San Francisco. If he does decide to leave, I think the Colts would be a really good option. I think the Colts would be willing to pay him a lot of money, and he's really freaking good. He's really, really good. Is he probably unattainable? Yeah. Does he probably want to go to a place where he has a better chance of winning now? Yes, but I think he'd be a great fit. I mean, any good player would be a great fit on any team. That's what makes them great. But you get my point. So Chris Ballard did say in his end-of-year presser that the Colts do need competition and they need better depth at quarterback specifically. He said, and this is paraphrasing, not an exact quote, but Anthony Richardson hasn't shown he can stay healthy for 17 games. We need competition. I mean, the reason he got benched was because he wasn't preparing well. We need somebody who can put some pressure on him, somebody that can show, hey, you're not a guaranteed starter. And a name that's come up a lot in Colts Reddit, Colts Twitter, and just Colts fandom and discussions as a whole is Justin Fields. He's a player who is very similar to Anthony Richardson, and he's very flawed. There's some accuracy concerns, but he's a really good runner, has shown flashes. He is older than Anthony Richardson. He's 26. But when he played this year in Pittsburgh, I thought he looked really good. We know he's a flawed quarterback. We know he's a limited quarterback. But he's a quarterback that's good enough that he can push Anthony Richardson hard. He's a quarterback that's good enough that he can create some competition. I mean, I think the Colts have a really good pitch to him. Like, hey, Anthony Richardson has missed more games than he's played. You have a good chance of starting. We don't know if Anthony Richardson is long-term. If he doesn't pan out, he's gone. I don't think the Colts pick up his fifth. Sorry. I have such bad GER that is distracting me. But he's a name Colts fans love. He's a name that I do think would be really good in an offense coached by Shane Steichen. We saw the Colts rush game really falter with Joe Flacco in. That's partially because the versatility of the run game was gone. And with a guy like Fields, I do think that helps guys like Taylor. I do think that helps, the offensive line a bit. Somebody who can still scurry around. Somebody who doesn't need to be a sit-in-the-pocket type of guy. I think he makes sense. Hopefully he still improves and doesn't turn back into a pumpkin like he did in Chicago. But, yeah, I like him. I think he makes sense. I don't have any idea how much the Colts would need to pay him. But I think he'd be good. I think he'd be a solid fit. Jameis Winston, please no. Please no. Please, please, please no. Very funny guy. Seems to be a very likable guy, but I don't think he's a very good quarterback, if we're being honest. There's so many flashes of him being like, oh my God, he's the best quarterback I've ever seen. Dude just threw a 70-yard bomb. Then he throws a pick six, where it's like, what the hell are you doing? We already have that with Anthony Richardson. I don't want that with another guy. Obviously, Jameis Winston, funnier than Anthony Richardson, is more of a weirdo than Anthony Richardson, more charismatic than Anthony Richardson, but obviously, I don't care. I'm not a Colts fan, and I'm not a football fan because I like TikTok edits of, the horses are strung up and we're ready to go to battle. I might as well have been a corner wall. Well, Jameis Winston is throwing picks. Like, ideally we can get better than that at backup quarterback. And I know this free agency class for quarterbacks is super duper limited. Just please don't get Jameis Winston. Is he a guy who can give Anthony Richardson some competition? Probably. I think I could. I mean, Joe Flacco could. Who knows? Maybe you, the viewer, could. If you're good, hit up Chris Ballard. Be like, yo, Chris, Owen sent me here. He's a Colts fan who doesn't know that much about football. Let me play, dog. Yeah, I don't love the fit. Turnover machine, have that in Anthony Richardson. I mean, not an insane amount of turnovers by Anthony Richardson, but more turnovers than touchdowns, so I don't love it. But definitely a guy who can give you a similar play style in the passing game to Anthony Richardson. Strong arms, somebody who will get you, high yards per completion. I don't love it, but he's one of the better options out there, so I do think if they have to, fine. That makes sense. The next option is... Well, these are the only ones that are pulling up. All free agent QBs, please. Every little Cooper Jr. is not a safety song stuck in my head. All right, now for guys who are free agents that I didn't mention before, who I do think would fit and who I do think could give Anthony Richardson some competition. Sam Darnold. I know, not a runner, but the Colts have a really good offensive line when healthy, and they have 3 really good weapons in Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, all guys who had over 700 yards. Maybe Pittman might have been close. I think he did get it, but might have been close. All guys who had great years. Josh Downs has quietly become one of the better slot receivers in the league. Alec Pierce is a monster. And Michael Pittman had a fractured back this year, and with that in mind, played pretty solid. Now, this is probably one of his worst years, but, I mean, if he gets back to being healthy, he's as reliable as it gets. Like, he's a guy who will get you 60, 70 yards every game. Great hands. Finds ways to get open despite not being the quickest guy. Good, lengthy receiver. Like, he's great. Is he Jet? Is he, Hawkinson? Is he whoever their other receiver is? I can never remember him. No. But I do think he would be a good fit. Who was I even talking about when I said... Oh, Pittman, sorry. I zoned out when I was saying that. It's like the Michael Scott thing of, I say something and I kind of black out. I hope I find it along the way. Sam Darnold would be a great fit. He'd be an expensive fit. Probably won't happen. But if it does, I think it'd be good. I think it could be really, really good. They have some good weapons. Hopefully they draft a tight end or get a good tight end. We'll talk about that in a sec, but I think it makes sense. Zach Wilson, maybe. I mean, we know he can be a runner. We know he has a cannon, but probably not. Like, I don't think he provides, competition at the quarterback position, especially because he's a project in and of himself. Trey Lance, same thing. Jacoby Brissett, maybe. He's kind of mid at best. He's already been with the Colts. I don't think he comes back. Taylor Heineke, no. Marcus Mariota, a name I'm interested in. A guy who's played really good football the past couple of years when he's, had to play. A guy who does play decently similar to Anthony Richardson. Not the runner he was, not the runner Richardson is, but a guy who's consistent enough and plays similar enough to Anthony Richardson that makes sense. Let's see, Drew Lock, Horsecock Lock, no. Stidham, no. Fields, yes. I don't hate if we keep Flacco, but ideally we don't. I thought he played fine when he did play, but probably not. Jameis Winston, we just talked about that. Mac Jones, maybe. I still think he can be a good quarterback, but I don't know if he's good now. Wentz, no, he won't come back. Garoppolo, maybe. I don't think he comes, but maybe. Case Keenum, no. Rudolph, no. Rush, maybe. Dobbs, maybe. I mean, once you kind of get into the weeds with it, there's not great options. Tyler Huntley, I love with all my heart. Utes guy. Probably won't happen. He could just be done. Daniel Jones, no, please no. But yeah, not great options at the quarterback position currently. But the Colts do need to sign a quarterback. I do think Fields and Darnold are the best options if they are available. Laptop, you're so slow, but you're new too. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And it makes me upsetty paschetti. I will briefly go over the tight end position because I think they draft a tight end instead of signing one in free agency, or if they sign one in free agency, they probably draft one too. They do both. Get some depth in that position. The biggest name is probably Gesicki, Mike Gesicki. Good pass catcher, not a great blocker, 29. We kind of have that in Will Mallory. I just don't see the need for him. that archetype, I should say. Obviously, Gesicki's better, but I don't think he makes sense. Obviously, the names that come up are Warren, Fannin, but we're talking purely about free agents only. Another name, Juwan Johnson, 29, 43 catches per season, 475 yards, and 4.5 touchdowns, despite being out for 5 games this year. Those are probably the best 2 options. I don't like either of them very much. Yeah, our D line probably does need some help. I think that should be pretty low on the list, but I mean, if, Buck's out, if Grover's out, our defensive line just sucks. Raekwon Davis did not really show anything this year. In fact, he was pretty bad. I know he had that blood pressure thing, but when he played, he sucked. Just keep it a buck. Bars. The names that come up, BJ Hill, the Rumo guy, by all reports. They have some pretty good connections. Still a really good player who can, replace somebody like a Grover Stewart if he gets injured. Not a great pass rusher, but a good run stopper and somebody who could help, fit the Colts system. And, if they end up running more blitzes under Lou, sure, I'd like to have him. I have no objections with that. Khalil Mack just came off his age 33 season, 34 now. PFF says he had a 90-plus grade. Good heavens. I do think he ends up in more of a rotational role as time continues on. I do think the Chargers try and re-sign him. The question here is, what do they do with guys like Dio Dengbo, Ebukam, and Adebawar? The 2 guys that will be there is Laiatu and Kwity Paye. They're under contract. I don't think Kwity Paye is very good, but fine. I would like if the Colts could sign him. I do think he could replace somebody like Paye. I do think he could, fit or replace somebody like Latu. I like it. Good defensive line depth, guy who could be a really solid starter. And yeah, another one, Josh Sweat. I don't know why they listed him on here. There's no chance he comes to the Colts. Yeah. I'm basing this widely off Jake Arthur's article, who I really like, Locked On Colts guy. Go listen. Great show. I'm looking, and yeah, I think we went over pretty much every position. Oh, and a guy I missed, Osa Adiguju. Good defensive tackle. Same thing with Hill. I think we talked about linebacker. If I didn't, I'm sorry. I've recorded 3 videos at this point. They kind of merged together. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. But yeah, peace. Let me know if you guys have any free agent ideas. And yeah, I know nobody will watch this. Hopefully nobody does, because this video is horrible and it's rambly. And I need to get some brain help. I need a brain transplant. They need to take the top off, take it out, give me just a different brain, because this one is malfunctioning. I've had such terrible brain fog recently, so yeah. Kids, I don't know. I was trying to think of a funny way to end this, but yeah, just more of me rambling, so peace, goodbye.